right, so joining us next is a online marketing expert. He is the CEO and founder of DudePros.com, probably one of the coolest names for a digital marketing company out there. He is also the CEO and co-founder of websiteinfivedays.com. We're going to dive into marketing for short-term rental businesses. Super excited about jumping into this with him. Let's welcome Mr. Chris Martinez. Hey, Chris, thanks for being with us today.
Hey, what's happening?
Not much, man. Good. I'm happy that you're here. This is a topic that I've been wanting to dive into. We've been speaking for the last few days on how to create a short-term rental business, how to scale that business, and obviously online marketing is going to be a huge part in growing a short-term rental business. So before we get into that, I would love for you to kind of tell everybody who you are and what exactly does your companies do for your clients.
Yeah, so I own essentially two agencies. The first one that I started over 5 years ago was called Website in 5 Days, working with small business owners. And then we launched another one recently called DudePros.com, and that's working with a lot of agency clients as well as some very specific niche entrepreneurs to help them grow their business. And so we do websites, which there's millions of companies out there that could do websites. But the value that we bring to the table is that we give our clients a team to help manage all this digital stuff so that they can focus on other things that they like to do, like running their business. And that's ultimately what's the biggest value that we bring to the table is that we take all this technology overload off of their shoulders, and then we help them to implement. And for our entrepreneur clients, we also help come up with a strategy and all that kind of stuff. So.
Love it.
That's what we do.
What exactly does Dude Pros mean?
So DUDE stands for Digital Updates Done by Experts. And that's essentially our unlimited program. So our clients that sign up for that, they get unlimited support. So it really is like having your own web designer to do all the pretty stuff and a web developer to do all the coding. And then we also run ads for our entrepreneur clients too.
Right on, man. Right on. So yeah. I'd love to dive right into the marketing side of this. So
for sure.
So I would love to get your expert opinion on why short-term rental businesses should create unique brands off of the main listing sites like Airbnb, VRBO, and all of that. And I would love for you to kind of dive into what exactly is a brand.
Yeah, absolutely. So to me, a brand is something that you stand for. It's something that like take Apple, for example, like one of the most successful brands in history. You look at Apple products and you know that they stand for something different. They stand for like uniqueness. So every business needs to build a brand, including short-term rentals and vacation rentals. And I think that that's something that a lot of people in the space kind of neglect. But if you really want long-term success, you need to start building your brand. And so one of the first things that you need to ask yourself is what makes you and your properties different? So like there's this saying like, why should I do business with you as opposed to everybody else out there, including every option? So the vacation rental space, obviously, Airbnb, you can see thousands of properties, right? Across the world, there's millions of properties, I'm guessing. What is it that makes you unique in your space, right? So, and then when you look at the other options, right, there's lots of other options, including the other websites, but also they can stay in a hotel, they can stay with friends, which is a consideration for a lot of people. And so ultimately what you're trying to figure out is your unique selling proposition, which answers the question, it essentially answers the question, why should I do business with you as opposed to everybody else out there, including every other option, or just doing nothing. So that's another option that people have that we kind of don't think about is like, if we business owners don't provide the vacation rental person or the short-term renter a reason to come here, then they're possibly going to stay home. So think about all the money that's being left on the table because they can't find the right place for them.
Right.
And I have a dog, right? She's actually right down here. So I've literally not taken vacations because I couldn't find a place that was pet friendly for my big golden retriever.
Right.
So there's a lot of opportunity cost because in this space we have not made a conscious effort to make ourselves unique, right? So people have a ton of options, and building your brand is starting to set yourself apart, differentiate yourself. So one thing that I will say is that we are not in the vacation rental or short-term rental business. We are in another business, because the short-term rental and vacation rental business is a commodity, right? There's lots of people out there. If you classify yourself in the short-term rentals or vacation rentals, you have a sea of competition. So you can't be, what you want to do is you want to figure out what business you're really in so that you can be number one or number two in that market, right?
Break that down a little bit. What exactly do you mean by that?
So like there's different niches within vacation rentals and short-term rentals, right? What we want to do is we want to find a niche where there's a lot of people already searching for this, so there's a need. And there's very little competition. Ideally, no competition. So let me give you some examples, right? So student travel, right? So you could be the number one for student travel, especially if you have a home, and let's say you're renting out just rooms, almost like a hostel, right? There's no reason, I don't know anybody out there in the space who's number one in student travel for, and I live in San Diego, families, right? So it could be families with small kids. Like within there's all these little niches.
Sure.
I just mentioned I have a dog, right? Is there any reason why you couldn't specialize in being the number one pet-friendly vacation rentals or short-term rentals? And then you can dive even further. Maybe it's for dogs. So, and it's so simple. Like you can put little a dog run in the house, more just accommodate people for dogs. And you can even go more specific, because there's a lot of places that don't accommodate big dogs. So I have a golden retriever. She's 70 pounds. That automatically limits the amount of places that I can stay. So that's a market, but I mean, I think it's like 1 out of every 2 households in the United States has a dog. So you can absolutely go into that niche and dominate and be the best person, the number one person in that particular niche. And that theme is one of the things that can help you to be unique. That's how you start to build a brand. So essentially figure out how to be number one or number two in your market. And if you can't be number one or number two, then you want to create a new market. Does that make sense?
Yeah, of course. I love that. And that's something that I mentioned a few times. So the brand is not just online. It's also the piece of property, your actual property that you're running too. So you're designing your home to fit pet-friendly guests that are traveling to San Diego. And then you're taking that brand, that physical brand that's in the property, and moving it online. And really standing out from all the other thousands and thousands of short-term rentals that are in your market.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, you want your brand to stand for something. You want people to be like, that is the golden retriever. Those are the golden retriever properties.
Sure.
Right? Or those are the Hawaiian themed properties or something like that, for kids, right?
Yep. These
are the water park. These are the water park people, because they cater to everybody who wants to go to the local water park. So they provide floaties, they provide a tube, they provide, they have a driver who can send a van over and pick up, 15 kids if we need to.
Right.
Start to stand for something. Have your brand tell a story. And people will be magnetically attracted to that. And likewise, the people that you don't want are going to be repelled.
Sure.
That's how you start to build a brand.
So then how do you reflect that online? Because I know as a short-term rental operator how to reflect that in the actual property, but how do you build the brand online for that?
Yeah, so essentially, and this is another thing that I think that a lot of people in the short-term rentals and vacation rental space have been neglecting is the need for a website. So your website is essentially your digital storefront, right? And so when people, why do I need a website? What I say in this space is like, what happens if your Airbnb account gets shut down? What happens? Or HomeAway or Flipkey. Let's say your Facebook page gets shut down. Let's say all of a sudden all of your pages go away. You are done. You have no way of booking properties unless you have a website, because your website is the only digital property that you will always own. And you can continue to drive, if not new customers, you can continue to drive past customers to that website.
Retargeting.
Yeah, well, I mean, we'll talk about this in a second, but like driving people back to your digital storefront so they can continue to see that that your doors are still open. They can get new information. They can still connect with your brand. And so that will never go away. You always have control over that. You never have control over what Airbnb does, what Flipkey, HomeAway, VRBO. Sure. You don't have any control. You don't have any control over Facebook or Instagram. Mm-hmm. To me, that's unsettling to know that at the flip of a switch, all of that revenue stream can go away if they just decide to. Mm-hmm. Right? So that's why I encourage everybody to have their website where they can show all their properties. I don't care if it's one or if you have 1,000.
Got it.
Showcase your properties there. And then also with the design of the website, you can start to perpetuate your brand, right? The other thing that's really cool about having your own website is you can showcase video. This is one of the biggest complaints.
That's huge.
You know, we can't do video on Airbnb. Mm-hmm. It's crazy. So what we do then is we take video and we put it on the website, and you can do virtual tours. Like, you know, even when you send out your welcome message to your guest, imagine you have, you know, you invest a couple $100 and you create like a nice intro and a walkthrough of the house. And that starts to show people, hey, this person's taking the extra step. They really care, and so that they feel more comfortable when they're going to come to the property. And who knows, that might lead to more referral business too.
So let's break down the website real quick, because I've seen you build multiple different websites, especially in the short-term rental space, and
1,000 of them.
Yeah, and there's so many different themes to it, right? So, so what would you recommend to somebody right now who's listening or watching that wants to go out and build a website for one or two of their Airbnb listings? What type of sites would you actually develop? Is it a showcase property where people can book, or is it a travel website that showcases some properties that happen to be yours? What would you recommend on that side?
Okay, so I think that kind of depends on the business, but I always say find somebody who's super successful in the space. It can even be an Airbnb. I don't care. Mm-hmm. Take what they're doing, mimic it for yourself, and then we call it like swipe and deploy, and then that becomes your design. What you absolutely want to have on the website are obviously the properties themselves, right? Mm-hmm. Any videos that will help, you know, start to think about what are the objections that people would have to booking the place.
Okay.
So create maybe like a video tour of the house itself, have an FAQ section for every single property. And then absolutely you have to have an about page that tells your story. Remember, so the about page does get read. And so you want to make that a compelling, because people are essentially, you're trying to get them to develop a relationship with you and your brand through the website.
Right.
So, and then like going back to the design part of it, if you're designing it similar to a website that's successful, then people will go and they'll feel comfortable. Like they'll know how to navigate it and get through all the pages that they want.
Right. It's familiar.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, that's kind of like the best answers that I would have with that. Is that kind of what you were looking for?
Yeah, of course. So there's so many different directions you can go down, and for me, I know for my business launching our sites, we're torn on what type of content we should put out there. You know, you keep mentioning videos, and that's one thing that none of the major listing sites allow you to do is showcase your home with video. So we do the same thing. We take some shots with our cell phones of the home, and we end up emailing it to our guests, and it's kind of a pain in the butt. But you know, to drive traffic and develop content, what would you recommend right now? Focusing on someone who just developed a brand, launched the website. What type of content should they put out there?
So I would absolutely. Well, I'm going to say video, but let's talk about the content, the context of the content. It's like a tongue twister.
Yeah.
So you do not want to be the cheesy salesperson talking about, hey, come buy my property because da-da-da-da-da. People don't want to hear that stuff, especially if it's like the first contact that they have with you. Mm-hmm. The way that you want to position yourself from a content standpoint is that you're the expert in the field, right? You know everything about the area, all the attractions. You want to be the go-to number one expert, and you're able to answer all the questions for the people who are going to be traveling to that city. And so you want to create content. I would say video content, but what you also want to do, in my opinion, and this is what I do with my videos, is, you know, you write out the script, and then you use the script for when you're doing your actual videos, and then you take the script content and you copy and you paste that onto the blog on which the blog page, so that people can either read it or they can watch the video. Now, you know, we're using Zoom, for example, for this video. If you do like a Zoom interview or something like that, it's really cool because you can actually extract the audio file too. So then you can have video, you can have text, and you can have an audio file. So people can digest this information any which way that they want.
So more content, the better for the websites.
More different types of content, if you can.
Different types of content.
Because, I was talking to this girl the other day, and she never watches online videos.
Really?
And I know, isn't that strange? And she's a millennial, so she's 32.
Yeah.
She's like, oh, I love looking at pictures on Instagram. I only look at the pictures. And I'm like, if there's a video, like, I think I get 95% of my video content, like even like TV content, from like YouTube and Facebook.
Sure.
I can't even tell you the last time I watched a TV.
Yeah.
So, but imagine if we're trying to communicate to her the same way that you communicate to me. It's not going to work.
Right.
So you don't know how that person is going to want to digest the information, but it is your job, and you can control how you put it out there. So for the people who like to read, we want to have the written content. For people who like to listen, we want to have the MP3. For people who like to watch videos, like me, we want to have the video.
Got it.
Yeah.
And so you mentioned something earlier too that was really interesting. Is that it's so outside of creating the content, it's also not just necessarily about the property, but also you're creating content for the area. It's almost like a travel website for that specific location. Can you touch on what you meant by that?
So I tell everybody you need to treat your website and your digital presence as like a media source, right? We're all in the media business, and we're giving value and developing what I call like relationship dollars with people.
Okay.
So, and once people feel comfortable with us, and then we build up that know, like, and trust factor, then they'll want to book with us. And that's, I think that one of the things that's kind of missing is that we're not just trying to book people for one trip. We want to build customers for life.
Yeah.
So that, they might be coming to San Diego, for example, for this year, and that might become their tradition. They might look forward every year. Let's go to San Diego. Let's go stay at Chris's place. I can't wait to go stay at Eric's place.
That's a great point. That's a really good point. Is like when I first got in this industry in 2007, 2006 at vacation rentals, we had people coming back to us year after year, same family vacations. Now that Airbnb has really changed the game of short-term rentals, people don't think about that. They just expect somebody to always be there to fill their vacancies, which I agree with you 100%, is that just leads, that opens up so much room for error and vacancies. So what you're saying is, along with creating your brand in your property outside of the listing sites like Airbnb and HomeAway and all of that, it's also retaining the people that are staying there, really understanding the avatar, really understanding why they're there, and then continuing to remarket and retarget them to bring them back in
with valuable content, right? So
I love that.
That vacation that they take might only be 1 week.
Yeah.
But we, as business owners, we can create content to always stay top of mind with these people. So, what's something that's going on? Comic-Con is this weekend. Yeah, Comic-Con. Comic-Con's what's going on. So, huge. And I have a friend who was doing vacation rentals just for Comic-Con, and those people booked before they even left.
Yeah.
They rebooked for the following year because they love the place.
Oh,
so
okay.
Yeah. So and then how many other people are out there where you can create content to continuously remind them, hey, this is coming up. This is coming up. This is coming up. So we can always create content to stay top of mind and then get these people excited and get them to want to book again. So there's 3 ways to grow a business.
Okay.
You can get new customers, which is the absolute most expensive and difficult way to grow a business. If you're continually having to get new customers, you're going to burn yourself out, and eventually, your cost per lead is going to go way too high. From what I've seen, you cannot sustainably run a business by continually having to get new clients. The second way that you grow a business is that you get people to buy more frequently. So if they book with you once a year, so here's a perfect scenario. Let's say that you have 50 clients and they all book once a year. Let's say you take those same 50 clients without having to do a single shred of advertising, and you get them to book just one more time a year. So now they're booking twice. You've literally doubled your business that way. Zero advertising. You just get them to buy one more time. The other way that you can grow the business is you get them to spend more money with you. So if they say 3 days, you get them to spend 6. You've doubled the business that way. So that makes sense?
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
Yeah. So what we want to do is we want to get more people to buy more frequently too. So try and give them a reason to come back so that they can, instead of it being a once-a-year trip, get them to do twice a year.
Now, are you also retargeting the guests that have stayed in your home, not just on the content that you're creating for your brand outside of Airbnb, but also how else do you get in touch with them? How else do you retarget these customers?
let's do you think that most people know what retargeting is? Should we
yeah, why don't you go through that a little bit?
Okay.
Give us the one-on-one.
So retargeting is essentially when somebody comes to your website, you put a cookie on their browser, and then you leave, and they start to see ads for you all over the place. We've all experienced this with like Amazon. They're fantastic about it, right? So you go to Amazon, you find a book or whatever that you want to buy, and then you're like, I'm going to wait. And then you leave, and then, oh my God, now you see an ad for that book, right?
It's on Facebook, it's on Instagram, it's on
everywhere.
Yeah.
I love it. So everybody can do this. It's unbelievably affordable to do that right now. And so there's a way that you can do it. There's a couple of different ways that you can do retargeting, right? So obviously they come to the website, they leave, and then you can retarget to them. The other thing that you can do, though, is if you get their email addresses. So let's say they never touch your website. Let's say they become a client on Airbnb. You pull their email address, you put it into an Excel file. You can take those email addresses and you can upload them into Facebook in their Facebook ad manager. And Facebook will match the email to their actual Facebook account. And now we can start to run ads to those people to remind them to come back.
Interesting.
Yeah. And what's really cool is that when you do that, you can say, okay, so let's say you have 3 properties, right? We have A, B, and C. Let's say that they went to almost to the booking part of property A, right? Let's say property B, they looked at it and they just bounced off after one picture. And property C, they got to like the second step. So let's say maybe the second step is they saw like 3 photos, right? So you can now serve up ads based on the activities that they made on your website. So you can say
on the photos that they looked at.
Yep.
Interesting.
So you can say, okay, so they look really, really interested in property A. Let's start showing them more videos of property A.
Sure.
Right? Or let's say that, they hated property B, so we don't want to show them anything because that's just wasted money. And then they're kind of iffy about property C, right? So then you can serve up different content. So this is ways that you can start to use retargeting so that you're showing them more stuff specifically about what they're interested in. Super, super powerful. And nobody's doing this at all.
Yeah, I see very little of it. Very little in the short-term rental space.
The big companies are doing it, but actual property owners are not doing this at all.
Is it cost-effective for property owners to do that if they have 1 or 2 listings?
Depends on what your lifetime customer value is. So in my opinion, let's say that you're building the business and you are getting repeat clients, right? So they might book for $1,000 for the first year. But if they book for 5 years in a row, that's a $5,000 client. I would happily invest 6 to 1. So I would happily invest $800 to get that $5,000 client.
Got it.
All day long.
Yeah. So that comes down to also really there's so much to it, where fully understanding your avatar that you want to rent to. So you're designing your home to attract that person, and then also your online branding to attract that person. And now it's really understanding if this avatar is coming to, say, San Diego every single year for Comic-Con, and if we can keep them and attract them back to our property year after year, it's worth to spend X amount of dollars because we know we're going to generate X amount over the next few years.
100%. I mean, so this is kind of what I see, right? So the market's going to continue to get more and more saturated, right? And so eventually it's going to be it's going to be much more price driven. And we're kind of seeing this in certain markets where there's more inventory, prices go down because they're all fighting for the same customers. We do not want to get into that battle. That is a losing business model to go solely based on price. So you want to, once you start to build your brand, you have your digital storefront, you have your content that you're creating, you have the email list, and you're running ads to get people to come back, then it's not a price game anymore because these are your existing customers.
Sure.
These are people who are looking forward to seeing you every single year. Mm-hmm. That's how you can build a long-term business. Because Airbnb, I mean, it's so new. We've only known they've been around for a long time.
2008,
but like the explosion of it is really
last few years.
Yeah, I would say 3-4 years max is really when it really started to explode. But this trajectory is not going to it's not going to keep going forever. Mm-hmm. So this is the time where you're getting a ton of traffic. There's not a whole lot of there's a lot of competition, but it's not like insane. You know, you don't have 10 houses on the street all doing Airbnb.
Right.
We will get to a point where there's everybody on the street wanting to do Airbnb. Mm-hmm. And you want to position yourself today and build your brand so that when that does happen, you've already got a secure business and it's not about price.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's really interesting. So every single guest that comes through your Airbnb is a potential repeat guest. So every person that's listening should be capturing that information, should be uploading it, and really grabbing their contact information as they're checking in, putting that in a database so you can retarget them throughout the year.
Yeah, and then also just taking the emails and creating a weekly newsletter, right? You know, this is the cool thing about the vacation space is that nobody's ever angry to hear from you, as long as you're giving them cool information about a vacation. Because this is literally what people work for. They work so that they can go on vacation.
Sure.
And so, like, you know, sending out a new an article about what's going on at the baseball stadium, right? Or like a cool festival that happened here, like. They will live vicariously through you. Sure. And you'd be amazed at how quickly this stuff can also be shared, too, because it's like you write it, you create some really cool content. I follow a lot of travel bloggers, and so I've watched, like, you know, I want to go to, like, the Philippines, all these other places because of watching these videos. It makes me want to go travel. There's no reason why, you know, Eric Moeller, can't be the go-to guru for travel in wherever your latest property is.
Sure. Yeah,
so we can all do
that. I love that. So I would love for you to touch on social media a little bit, because one thing that every single time someone brings up brand, they focus on the website, they focus on the digital side, but a lot of people always skip over and miss the social media side. So can you just touch on that? Why that is so important to match your branding on social media?
So social media is essentially it's like a party, right? So everybody's going there. This is how we communicate. This is how we connect. This is how you build relationships. And so you want to be active there and share all the content that you have just because there's so many people there. Like I think it's over half the world's internet users are on Facebook, for example. It's insane.
Yeah.
So I mean, why wouldn't you want to be in that party if all your potential clients are there? But you don't want to be a salesperson, right? So like, have you ever gone to like a networking event and you meet like the insurance guy and he's like, you know, like, hey, you want to buy some insurance? Like,
it's always the insurance.
Could always use a little bit more, right?
Yeah.
You don't want to be that person. You want to be the person that facilitates conversations, gets people excited, you know, and so you want to create content that develops that relationship with people. So here's an idea that you could do. Let's say you build out your Facebook page, right? Your business page. You right now, let's say like Comic-Con's going on, right? So you could go down to Comic-Con and you could do a Facebook Live video talking about Comic-Con, interviewing people, showing like, you know, the cool booths and all the crazy costumes and dogs that are dressed up and all these, you know, you can do interviews on the street. Like, this is stuff that people really like, right? And you are perpetuating your brand of being the expert in XYZ,
right?
Through social media and connecting with people. Do you know anybody who's doing that?
I know quite a bit.
Like who are going down to Facebook or using Facebook Live to build their brand?
Not necessarily in short-term rental space.
That's what I mean.
Not in short-term rental
space. Do you know anybody who's doing that yet?
No, I don't.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not off the top of my head.
See, that's a huge opportunity that nobody's really taking advantage of.
Right. And what's cool about that too is if you're directing that type of content or creating that type of content on your social media page, you can then, of course, tie it into your website. And that's
driving back to your website.
Yeah, yep. double content.
And you don't have to necessarily do the booking through Airbnb, through your website. You can always redirect them back to Airbnb where they can book. I mean, you can test it. Maybe people just feel comfortable booking on Airbnb, and so you're going to want to drive them back there anyways. Maybe you don't want to build out, this very complex booking system on your own website. Yeah. It's just easier and more cost effective. So driving to Airbnb, you don't have to book, but you absolutely want to be able to drive them back to the website, which is the digital property that you own.
Yeah. So that's an important topic too. Point is that creating those types of websites. I have a website for Hometel, and we showcase our properties, all of that. But we do that exactly where you click on our property, redirects back to Airbnb if they want to book it, and then we collect everything through Airbnb. I found it easier so we can do the verifications, and they have the whole money processing, all of that.
Insurance, that sort of thing.
Insurance, all that stuff. So I guess it comes down to is it cost effective to go and build out a whole back end that can manage payment processing and refunds and all the other things that Airbnb charges you 3% to do for a booking?
Yeah, right? I think for 95% of people, it doesn't make sense to build out your own booking process, on your website. Booking process.
Only if they're in scale. Only if they have multiple properties.
Yeah, right. Because the cost of building out something like that is going to be in the multiple thousands of dollars. Mm-hmm. And actually, you might just end up getting software from a third party and integrating it with the website, and that might be $500 a month. So like if you're paying Airbnb $300 a month in fees, and the software that you're going to buy is $500 a month. Doesn't really make sense, right? Just continue doing Airbnb. It's same with like people who sell stuff on Amazon. Like there's a lot of people who don't even have their own e-commerce store. They'll have a website that you click the buy now button and it drives them to Amazon because Amazon ultimately it's easier, especially because they're doing the fulfillment.
Right.
So just look at the numbers. I would say though, for the majority of people, 95% or more, just continue to book through like Airbnb.
Got it. I love it. So before we wrap up, I have one last question for you. What are you excited most about within the short-term rental space and the industry? Because I know you're a host. You rent out your personal property. So what is it right now that you're excited the most about short-term rental space?
That's a really, really good question. Honestly, like the vacation rental space and short-term rental space right now is kind of like the Wild West. And I'm really excited about seeing who are going to be the people, what are the companies that are going to emerge and really like dominate. So like all the stuff that I've been talking about today, I'm excited to see who are the people who are going to grasp this and run with it and just absolutely crush a market. Because there's so much opportunity because there's nobody who we haven't had to do these basics of marketing because we've had an influx of traffic to their website. There's not a whole lot of inventory. There's not like an insane amount of inventory for vacation rentals. And so, we've kind of been able to be a little bit lazy.
Right.
But it's changing, right? And there's going to be more competition that comes in. And so I'm excited to see who are these people that are going to be the new essentially like real estate moguls for the short-term rental and Airbnb, short-term rental and vacation rental space, and who grasp these technologies.
Right.
So yeah, I don't know. That's probably the thing that I'm most excited about. I love the speed at which technology changes, and so I'm excited to see how, the next evolution as well.
I love it, man. I love it. Well, listen, Chris, I appreciate your time. For everyone that's listening, watching, how can they find you and get in touch with you?
Yeah, so they can go to our website, dudepros, DUDEPROS.com/Airbnb Mastery Summit.
I love it. Your contact, everything's on there?
Yep, absolutely.
Awesome, man. Well, again, I appreciate your time, appreciate the knowledge, and thank you for being here.
All right, thank you guys. Hope you enjoyed.
Awesome, man.
Bye-bye.
No.